So welcome everybody. I hope you've had a good start to the year. So this is our first Reclone community meeting for 2024. Hopefully you can see my slides. Do give me a thumbs up or do let me know if you can't. Great, thanks Cibele. So what we thought would be great is to talk about Reclone, our plan ahead, talk to you about what our current projects are, what our upcoming projects are, and hopefully ask for your support to help with making these projects happen. So in terms of our roadmap ahead, today's talk will cover various points from kind of recapping what the Reclone Vision is, what our core missions are. I'll then move on to talk about our current community projects, and then how you can get involved. And at the end, we're always keen to hear back from you guys. So if you could complete our survey, which technically was the end of 2023, but we're happy to keep extending it to, keep hearing more of what you think we can do in our community. So various things that we will need help from you guys for. So we'll start on the vision. So for folks who aren't familiar with Reclone, this is the Reagent Collaboration Network. And our vision is to have a world where all researchers have equitable access to reagents to help with accelerating research, foster innovation, and support everything about education, everything around the bioeconomy. To this end, we have set up 3 specific missions. Mission 1 is that we want to establish these regional reagent hubs so that we can more easily share the DNA parts and collections that we have around to all researchers, ensure that this is affordable and reliable, and enable people to develop their research. And a lot of the open DNA collections that we'll go into talk about later was originally established by the Free Genes project with the BioBricks Foundation, and it's all under OpenMTA, Open Material Transfer Agreement. But since the hiatus, we wanted to try and set up a more distributed network of reagent suppliers. So to this end, the Open Bioeconomy have also joined with the Universidad Nacional de Cuyo in Mendoza, Argentina, HSC University in Ghana, and the Ateneo de Manila University in the Philippines to help set up these reagent hubs. So that was mission 1. Mission 2 is to build our global and distributed community of researchers so that we develop this network of folks who want to work openly and collaboratively and share what we are developing to help with our global challenges. And mission 3 is to create this repository of open access education and training resources so that we can, through our network, share what we do, our experiences of working with, for example, the DNA collections. And we're hoping this is a resource that is provided by the community for the community to help grow and develop. As most of you know, our community can be found at reclone.org, and we would love to hear more about what you do and open discussions on our forum. Links provided here. So I'm going to jump straight into the open DNA collections. And right now we have quite a number of collections readily available on the Free Genes website. And on the Free Genes site, they have a bionet where you can see who else in the world has got these collections. So you can request and kind of coordinate getting hold of these collections for your own uses. From the Open Bioeconomy Lab perspective, these are the collections that we have developed and are working on. So specifically, the Open Enzyme Collection, the Open Reports Collection, and the Research in Diagnostics Collection. This latter one are in plasmids that are ready to express, so you can just plug and play, just straight away use them, whereas the other 2 are in parts, so then you need to do cloning to make use of. The thing about these collections are that we have resources about them all over the place. And what one of the things that we want to do as a community project is to reconcile all this and put them into one place, for example, on the Reclone forum, where you can see, look, if I want to find out more about the open use collection, these are the set of links on the forum. And also on the forum, you can then talk to other researchers who use the collections so that, we build this community of knowledge and resource. So yeah, we would love to have your help in kind of centralizing all this in a way. In a more recent project at the end of last year, we were funded by the EPS SRC grant to synthesize more reagents to expand the collections we have here. So Scott and Ian have been working really hard to make sure that we have the extended open enzyme collection and also open use collection part 2. We currently also have a little bit of funding left from this grant, so we would welcome more contributions from the community to suggest other parts that we can get synthesized to add to our growing collection. And the plan in this coming year, in the first 2 quarters, is to make sure that these parts are in the appropriate format so that we can distribute it out to the community. For those who aren't familiar with the open enzyme collection, this is a set of different parts that was designed by OBL and synthesized by Reagent, distributed under the Open MTA and funded by the Shuttleworth Foundation. And it contains a various number of parts, promoters, tags, reports, as you can see a lot here. And the idea is this is like a sandbox, a basic playground for you to kind of chop and change and make your own constructs from the parts available. I mentioned briefly about the research and diagnosis collection. This is the one where you can just get the plasmids and express them straight away. So the OBL and the other various other collaborators around the world have been working to update these parts. So currently they're in a vector called POpenV3, pbuild, but we're trying to put it into PTI vector to make. So I believe this has better expression. Anyone else in the call, feel free to jump in and let me know if I'm not taking this in the right direction. But yeah, so those are updates about the different collections that we have. I'm going to pass this now on to Cibele, who has been working on a different project for Reclone that links with the free genes bionet that I briefly mentioned earlier. So I'm just going to pass this over now to Cibele.
Yes, so, well, now you know a bit more about what we're doing on the technical side. So exactly developing more collections, making sure that we continue the work that we already had with our network. And the next part that we have here is exactly mapping out our community. So we want to make sure that we are aware of all the users we have around the world for our open DNA collections, and making sure that, we have a connected community on that sense. So as part of that, Yanke and I have just finished actually participating on the Open Seeds program from the Open Life Science. And we actually have our graduation tomorrow. So please wish us luck. We're going to be presenting exactly this project that was building a user landscape map on the Open DNA collections with the help from other Reclone community members and also our mentors from the Open Seeds program. So going to the next slides, we initially had already on our community, and I hope you're aware of it, that we already had this map hosted on Padlet. And here the focus was really on understanding the current Reclone community. So we invited everyone to share their location, their organization, why they want to be part, what they are doing as part of our community, and then of course any other relevant information. And of course we had the profile for our Reclone network. And this, we are all still welcome to participate in it. So really adding your pin to the map is always really nice to see how we are represented globally. So we have people in all continents. But we want to take this work to the next stage. That is exactly our mapping project 2.0. So focusing more on the DNA collections and all the users we have here, we started with the Free Genes Bionet database. So if you right now go to the Free Genes website, you're able to see a bit more of who are the current users of all the collections and the toolkits they have there. So beyond, as you can see, having the description of each toolkit, if you go on the Bionets part, you're going to see who are these users. So any people, any person, any laboratory that has ever received these parts, they are mapped on this website. And you can see that we have well-connected hubs. We also can identify the pilot hubs that we're building our regional reagent hubs that Yankei will explain a bit later on this meeting. And then, of course, we have some potential hubs. So we see already some countries, some regions that are interested, have these parts, and we could definitely be reaching out to them and seeing how we can continue this project forward. So what we did right now is move all this data and really start building this map. So our next stage is working on a proper code for that, so we can have this in a more visual way on a Reclone forum, on our Reclone website. So eventually all of you can find the nearest open DNA collection DNA toolkit for you to use, reach out and start building around your community and around your research. So this is the current stage that we are on this project that, as I said, we're presenting tomorrow. So again, send us good luck. And we're excited to continue it over this year, especially as we start operating our regional hubs and our other projects. And I'll pass again to Yankee.
That's great. Thanks, Cibele. So yeah, as Cibele was saying, this is our mapping project V2.0, and we would welcome contributors from the community who want to help build this out as well. So this is the second project that we've been working on. The third project is about open DNA collections, back to open DNA collections, and we wanted to have a place for people to raise issues and talk about their different experiences of using each of the collections. So these are relatively new projects that we want to start building in the community. And one is to develop this working group to help with documenting the collections that we have available, to raise and manage issues that they might have. For example, this enzyme doesn't express well because it's in the wrong vector. How can we, who can work with changing it into a better expressing vector? One of the questions that we want to discuss is where we want to focus these issues raising. So, for example, on the forum, on GitHub, I think our primary thoughts that we want to go on this. So this is a project that Felipe and I are starting off. But we would always welcome more support, as you said. As I said, we want to build a working group around this. The next is to develop the Reclone website and the forum. So we've been trying to do little changes across the year, but it's always great to hear back from the community members actually what they want to see on the website, what they want to focus around, nucleate around in terms of the forum discussions. So equally happy, we would welcome more contributors to help suggest features and help with developing this. And finally, we would also welcome support in terms of forum moderation. So helping check in regularly on the forum just to see, if they have questions. I think yesterday I saw some questions about using the PTI vector. And also just to welcome new members to see what we have on the community. So these are projects that we led by both myself and Cibele. But as I said, we welcome help on all of these projects. So in terms of the regional reagent hubs that Cibele mentioned earlier, we were funded by the UKRI Impact Acceleration Accounts Award to start developing these pilot hubs. So we managed to gather a few Reclone fellows together from Argentina, Ghana, and the Philippines. So exactly where we have started these pilot hubs. And the idea was to have the collections shipped out to each of these regions so that they can then do a local distribution of the collections. As part of their work, also they helped with doing a policy review of what local biomanufacturing is in the regions. So this draft report is under review, so hopefully we'll be able to share that with the community in the future. Another project that we're working on is this new reagent ordering system. So we want to establish this new workflow for when people want to order some of the parts, some of the collections that we currently have at the Open Bioeconomy in Cambridge, but also at the free universities, Unkyo, HSC, and Ateneo. So hopefully that towards the end of this year, hopefully all the hubs will have access to at least some of the collections that we mentioned earlier on, and then they can do a redistribution. So this is our new kind of form for if you want to request any reagents. In terms of the hubs, originally we kind of kicked back and forth for how we wanted to set up these hubs. One plan was to have this centralized hub where we just distribute out from one location, a bit like what Free Genes are doing or Agene. But we decided to settle more on plan B, which is where we start off with centralized, where we ship out some core collections to the free hubs we've identified earlier. And then from there, have this decentralized redistribution network and support system. Currently, we're still at this early stage, but we hope to progress more towards the decentralized format later on this year. So that's a quick update on the regional hubs. And finally, I'm going to pass this back on to Cibele to talk about how you could get involved in these projects or upcoming groups.
Yes. So going back tomorrow for community sites, beyond everything that Yankee already shared, that we would really appreciate all your contributions on our website, on our forum, and then of course how you would see all the operations on Recon working. I think everyone here has a bit of experience, so they would for sure have great feedback to share with us. We also have a lot of opportunities on our community side. So for example, we have these community meetings that this year we started on the third Wednesday, but the idea is to have them on the second Wednesday of every month. So currently I am leading it, but we would definitely appreciate a lot of help. We would especially like to have more people helping us with the social media sites. Maybe one can have a TikTok for Reclone if we have people willing to dance for us here. But the idea is to exactly help us with reaching out to speakers, making sure that we are representing our region. So we try to have a great variety of speakers every time. And then, of course, other operations. So we have all of you joining us. Also, we definitely want to have our symposium this year. So currently, it might be it will probably be in October this year, similar to last year, but we can figure out a better date if necessary, build on the positive responses that we had from the symposium last year and see where we can change, where we can improve to make an even better experience to our community. Continuing a bit on other opportunities, we have currently a project that we started last year, and you might have joined the call we had on that. That is a potential working group focused on our open bioreactor community. So this would be a cross-community collaboration. So it's Reclone and the GOSH community working on that. And we're really looking for more people to help lead these initiatives. So organize regular meetings with everyone that is interested in this type of work. and then of course manage the separate group that is across both Reclone and Gosh forums. And last but not least, Yankee will be starting this project that is a roadmap working group. So we want to have regular meetings to understand what is the current state of our Reclone community, but also strategizing around equitable biotechnology. So how do we see open access? How do we see equitable biotech by the year of 2030? That it seems far away, but it's actually really close already. So we really want to see what are the steps, what we're currently doing, how do we see that 6 years from now, and what we can do now to get where we want 6 years from now. And this will, of course, involve a lot of external collaborations. So again, I see a lot of people here with great experience on these biosharing sides. So of course, we will really appreciate your help on any of these projects.
Great, thank you, Cibele. So yeah, as we said, we will always welcome any help on these projects. And to finally wrap up, we did start this end of year survey last year. It's ongoing, so I believe Cibele will post in chat the survey link. But for some sort of initial feedback for the respondees so far, so it seems like there's been quite a mix. Maybe about 70% of people here have engaged in our community activities before, but we've got about 30% newcomers. So that's kind of nice to see that we're kind of growing the community. Most of whom have heard about us through from the Reclone members or the lab groups, or just from searching Google, apparently. And it seems like most of them are keen to engage more around having these regular monthly community meetings. And specifically, what we heard was that they wanted to hear more about the project so they can actually contribute. So this is what we're doing here today. About 60% of them have used the open DNA collections as well, which is kind of good to hear. And we'd like to encourage more use of that, especially more sharing about their experiences and how we could improve these connections, and specifically maintaining the data better, because as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of resources about them all over the place, but it's not in a way that is easy to get at. So this will be something that we would want to develop over this next year. It's great to hear that people have found our community meetings are informative and inspiring. Apparently, recordings are requested, so hopefully this will be useful to people hearing it afterwards. And apparently we'll need to advertise more. So do let us know, because currently we do try to advertise via email, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and various Slack groups. But as Cibele says, if TikTok's the way to go forward, perhaps we can get some budding social media folks working on that. The symposium, I think, was very well attended last year, and I think we've got a lot of brilliant ideas from that have helped kind of direct what we're going to do for this year. And at least 60% have wanted us to do this again. So as Cibele mentioned, we would welcome more volunteers from the community to help with steering the direction for that for this year. Yeah, and in terms of what makes people want to engage, what makes you guys want to engage with the community, what we heard was that you wanted more opportunity to network, to build efficient collaborations, wanted more seminars that talk about reproducible and practical kind of the technical know-how to, for example, use the collections. We mentioned about projects that people want to engage with, and also they want to see a bit more activity on the forum. So we're going to try and keep updating the forum as much as possible about these different projects that we're engaging in for this year. So these are just some of the preliminary feedback, but we haven't had as much response, probably because we posted this at the end of the year. So we're going to keep the survey open to hear back more from you guys and how we develop what we're doing. So just in summary, because I feel like I've thrown, both me and Cibele have thrown a lot at you. And as I said earlier, we'll be sharing these slides on the forum and the recording on the forum as well, so you can review back to see what you might be interested in helping us with. But to go towards our free missions, we would like help with kind of curating and looking at the current OpenEA collections, and seeing how we can make it easier for people to show what their user experience, and also how to raise any issues with that. I mentioned that we have the 2 new orders, the Open Enzyme Collection Extended and the Open Yeast Collection Part 2. So we would like help again curating the resources for this and just making sure that the parts, they work as designed. We'll also, as I mentioned, we have about $5,000 left. So we can then put in another batch of DNA synthesis. So we'll send around a link to collect more of your ideas for this wish list to put in for this year. Cibele covered our OLS Open Seeds project about the mapping exercise. So anyone interested in helping with that, we're welcome. Same with the kind of raising issues about the different collections, and working on updating the website, the forum, and forum moderation. In terms of the regional hubs work, we're still in connection with our fellows in Argentina, Ghana, and the Philippines. So we'll be working with them to build out the distribution system and kind of pushing forward this reagent ordering system for the community. And then, as Cibele mentioned about our kind of network and community, we'll need help with developing the community meetings organization, with various steering committees for the symposium and a working group for our plan ahead. But we want to throw this now back to you guys and see, are any of these projects of interest to you, and what else we can do to help build our network. And I believe that is it. So are there any questions from the community? Always like a bit of stunned silence. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing screen.
Okay,
Yes,
hello.
but I am shy. Oh, sorry. So I was going to say that started barking at escalator. Sorry.
Just gonna stop sharing here. I think I saw someone, Quabina. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes. Anyway, so thank you for the update. It's been very insightful, and particularly for me, it's been a while I joined this meeting, so it's a very good update for me as well. I think with some of the items which you mentioned that we probably need help with, I think for some, I may be able to help. But for what I would probably ask is what you share, I can go over again, and then I can look at which of them that I can contribute to, so that I can help build the community as well. But that, I mean, in general, I think that it's a lot of good stuff which has been done, and it's being done, and I want to encourage the team for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words on that, and we'll definitely share the slides, and we'll post more about each of the different projects. So it's not so you get an idea of what we'll be doing for each of those projects. Yeah. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Yes, now that my live crowd stopped, you might not have heard it. I hope you didn't, but they go crazy. So they were really excited and clapping around because of the presentation. But yeah, what I was going to ask, and kind of already answered. So I'm a shy person. I don't really want to say anything. We totally understand. Are shy of posting on the forum? You can definitely email us directly. So Yankee, Jenny, and I will be happy. You can just email us. I want to help. I don't know where. I don't know how. And we'll be happy to meet with you, talk with you, explain in more detail all everything that we brought here. Yes, exactly. The email to our team is coordination@reclone.org. Because yeah, we are always excited to have more people working with us.
Sure, Christian, you had a question.
Hi everyone. I really like all the things that you presented. I was very curious. I knew about you. I think that it was in Cambridge, talking with Felipe Buzon that works with Jenny, and became interested because in our university we want to start to work in synthetic biology in many ways, actually, but mainly because our participation in iGEM projects in 2021 and 2023. But the thing is that I talk with the authorities of my university and talk about our participation in Paris in iGEM. In some visit that I have made Barcelona and mainly at Cambridge, and talk about all the things that I saw in these places, and the two projects that I knew. One was Reclone, and the other was the Open Bioeconomy Lab. I think that they are very close. But the thing is that the authorities of my university became very interested, and they wanted to participate in some way. And they asked me, we want to make part of this. How we can do this? I told them I don't know, but I can talk with these people. I forgot that Cibele was inside this group. We are Brazilians. Totally forgot that Cibele was there. I think that I will talk personally with you by WhatsApp after this. But I wanted to share with you that I found very important that this fact that the university wanted to be part of this, help in some way. They didn't know how to do this. Neither I don't know. I don't know if you can talk about what possibility an institution like an university could participate and help in uh, all these projects or sub-projects that you mentioned. The first thing that I thought was maybe another hub. You talk about Mendoza. I think that if the university is interested, we have two kids from iGEM 2021, 2023. Then we have the enzyme collection here. Maybe could be, but I don't know if there is. It is interesting to have two hubs so close. I think that we are 2,000 kilometers from Mendoza. Don't know.
I mean, I think we would definitely welcome more hubs from different locations. We started off with the collaboration. I think Jenny knew a lot of the contacts in Latin America and Africa. So that's how we started off with those pilot hubs. But we'd definitely be keen to develop more hubs. I know. Great to hear that you said it was in Brazil, yes? So we're happy to have a hub there. And I think from the end of the symposium last year, we also had some interest from a group in Canada as well. So I think our plan was to, once we've set up this model with the reagent hubs in Argentina, Ghana, the Philippines, then we can kind of expand it out. But if you already have some of the collections, I think that is already, a good step ahead. So we'll be happy to welcome you and just feel free to connect with Cibele or with myself, and we'll facilitate that coordination. That would be fantastic. Jenny.
Yeah, I think just riffing off what Christian was saying, maybe I think it's quite an ask to have institutions sign up as hubs. So if Christian's institution is happy to do that, then that's amazing. But maybe there's a kind of a stepping stone where we can have institutions sign up as kind of members of Reclone with kind of limited expectation, if we like, for doing the distribution, and then it kind of, you know. But I think the important thing is visibility, right? And sort of having a sense that within the institution that you're a kind of named part and member of this international community, and that you can kind of, you know, refer students to the community, kind of be involved in getting mail outs and kind of being just being kept in the loop. Obviously, as we are now, it's quite easy to keep people in the loop because it's a reasonably small community. But I think having at least a kind of affiliation. I know when we went to Mendoza, even before we were really setting up the distribution node, it was very useful for the universities are universities. They want particular processes and they like things that are, you know, a named thing that they can say that they are. So in Mendoza, for example, we kind of did a signing ceremony. Fanan was there as well, and I think Mahi. We just signed up to say that, you know, Mendoza, the university is now going to be a node of the Reclone network, and sort of that meant that people at the university could take it to their kind of bosses, and it was, you know, a recognized thing. So maybe we just have a lightweight kind of process where we can have institutions that sign up and say that they are, at least in principle, kind of they recognize the need for this network to exist, and they in principle are happy for their researchers to spend time on projects and kind of work in a collaborative way. I think there's a number of other institutions that we could get signed up at that level. I think it's just a bit of a high, it's more of an ask for people to like physically be shipping out kits. But yeah, I think we could do that easily. Do you think that would help you, Christian?
Sorry,
would that be helpful for you to have a kind of like designated, you are a member of, you know, we have a kind of membership type of system. I think also it helps when we're applying, you know, there's grant opportunities or there's funding available, because it kind of groups institutions together then in a way that, like, there's a website that a funder can go to and see the list, and just even those small things kind of really help create when it's just thinking about organizations and institutions, like they help create that sense of being together, whereas previously we've mostly been working with individuals. I think that might be a nice thing to do.
Just wanted to say I'm really excited to involve more the Brazilian community on Reclone. Like they already have they have me, so, and it would be great to have more people, as Jenny wrote on the comments. For us, distance perspective, so 2,000 kilometers is nothing in our continental country. So yeah, it would definitely be great to have more connections, and yeah, and of course talk with our neighbors here. So we have Danielle from Peru, Fernan from Chile helping with the hub in Argentina. So yeah, we can definitely make something great in Latin America.
Well, that's good to hear more about the different members in the community. I mean, I know, Venu, you've been on the iGEM technology with iGEM for quite some time, and you've also had you've worked hard with shipping things out to different countries. So it would be great to pull on your experiences with this, because we've been there are some teething issues with our proto shipping out. So any advice you would give?
Circling back to the wealth of opportunities you kind of offered, the only reason I didn't speak up is because I think I'd like to go back and take a look at each of the individual ones and figure out like where I can help. I'm going to be a bit humble here and say I've got a lot of experience, but I also understand that we're going to have different ways of doing things. Like iGEM for the longest time, we shied away a long time ago from even sending out like glycerol agar stabs for glycerols. We don't send anything on paper. We have a very particular way, and now we've outsourced a whole bunch of our shipping essentially to Asimov. So they're doing much of the prep work, and we just use we print out the shipping labels, go over there, put them on a package, and send them out. So a lot has changed. But I'm happy to be as much of a resource as I can, and put in some volunteer time, because you folks have done so much for the community already, and done such great work. Do you guys actually have a web page or like a GitHub group currently listing out all of the different to-dos that we can be a part of?
So this is one of the projects about the issue raising that we wanted to develop, because Felipe has helped set up Reclone GitHub, which is sort of it's a clone of what was on the Free Genes GitHub page. So we were hoping to use that as a way to help the community raise issues. Essentially, there's the problem with XPAR and whichever collection, but that's still sort of a slow work in progress. I think it's mostly Felipe and occasionally me that kind of chipping in and there. But I think
it doesn't need to be slow. Sorry to interrupt, Yankee. It doesn't need to be slow. So if someone else out there is like, yes, I know how to set up a GitHub repository that channels people into creating issues quite easily, that's a very specific piece of help that will be lovely, because Felipe is a bit tied up with some other projects that have imminent deadlines. So that I think that one is progressing slowly, but doesn't have to with anyone to help on this call who is willing to say, yeah, I can do that.
And I think because one of our concerns was how to encourage people to use GitHub a bit more, because I know you guys have managed to transition a lot of iGEM students to using GitHub. I think there's still sometimes a bit of reluctance in using that. So this is why we were hoping for a development between our current forum, which is a discourse-based platform, with GitHub, and see if there's some ways for our members to post on the forum to say, look, we've had issues with X collection, and then have that be replicated on GitHub, if that's an easier way to track issues. Yeah, so it's still a proto group, but we welcome any support and advice on that kind of side of things.
Yep. I think I'll actually reach out to Felipe, because we have a little bit of experience there as well. And there is a huge, I agree, hesitancy towards using GitHub. But we kind of discovered that depending on different people's involvement, it's almost as easy as a forum. So if you just want to post, I have trouble with something, that's relatively easy. It does kind of like your forums do too. It requires some moderation as well. But once you have that, I think it's a great resource, and would definitely recommend it as somebody that had to kind of learn it on the fly. So happy to help.
That'll be fantastic. And that'll be great to hear your comments on that when you connect with Felipe. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's also really good, going from this, is that we also would really appreciate any feedback on the platforms we use. I was just yesterday talking with Yankee that sometimes, we kind of try to use different things, and then we end up being a community that uses 10 different platforms. So it would be really great, to hear from you, if you found the perfect tool that fits all our needs and we don't need to use different things. Because throughout the years now that Reclone exists, we had WhatsApp groups, we have our social media platforms, we have the website. So there's many different things that sometimes is also, a bit difficult for us to be managing. So it would also be great, to have this feedback. As Yankee said, we're trying to move to centralize more on the forum, but also having GitHub on the technical side of things, maybe moving everything to just one place. So any feedback on that sense would be great. And then, yeah, maybe we can go from Jenny's suggestion. If anyone wants to share their plans for this year that might be relevant to our community here.
Maybe we could do it as a roundtable so that everybody gets an opportunity to give a quick or to pass.
Do you want to kick us off, Jenny? You said about something about planned trainings and research projects.
Yes, sure. I know we've only got 8 minutes, so I'll move quick, and then I'll pass on to someone else on the screen. Yeah, so I guess Reclone, most Reclone relevant stuff to update. So I'm currently in Trieste, so I now work half of the time at ICGB here in Italy, and we've just kicked off Expandia, which is a 10-country consortium funded by the Gates Foundation to look at new diagnostics technologies. So the 10 countries are all in Africa, spread around different regions. And I'm leading the sustainable manufacturing work package. So we're going to be working in Senegal, Burkina Faso, and likely Kenya to implement some manufacturing of reagents for diagnostics, using, of course, the collections and building on a lot of work that members of this community have done, particularly for NAN. But we're going to be working, it's giving opportunity. So I have a postdoc arriving in about 2 weeks, and we're really focusing on purification. So we've done a lot of work before with cellular reagents that not everybody may be familiar with, but basically very little purification of enzymes because it's the cheapest and easiest way. But we're going to try and kind of really get some robust purification protocols that are easy to implement and kind of locally manufacturable purification materials. So obviously we'll be updating the community as that happens. We're also planning a 2-week training in Ethiopia in July, which will be a kind of basic introduction to enzyme manufacturing, trained by colleagues from Kenya and Ethiopia that were trained themselves last year. So we did a train the trainer. They're now going to run the training course, and the week after we'll do a more advanced version, again digging more into purification and other things. But if anybody else, we don't currently have like travel funding for people from outside of the partner countries, Kenya and Ethiopia, to come. But if anybody would like to join, get in touch, and we can maybe figure something out with that. I think those are the 2 main things. Yeah, new project, and in Cambridge we've been fortunate enough to just receive a grant, but it's not public knowledge yet, so shh. But we should have well, both Yankee will be staying with us, which is fantastic, for longer, and then a postdoc will be arriving who'll be working again on the collections with a focus on UK biomanufacturing, but of course the collections are open tools, so they're a platform and they're available for everybody. So yeah, quite a few things happening in the lab, and we'll keep the community up to date. But just be aware that yeah, there's going to be a postdoc opportunity being listed hopefully within the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks. So if you know anyone who likes all this sort of stuff and fancies a postdoc in Cambridge, it's coming up. Heads up.
Jenny, do you want to nominate someone to give some updates?
A classic error, rookie error. So that I said I was going to do it and then I didn't do it. Well, Christian's next on my screen, but I guess we heard a bit from Christian already. Do you want to add anything, Christian?
Sorry?
Do you have any upcoming activities you'd like to?
Yes, we have a lot because the students that participate in IGEM 2023 have a very nice ideas about the continuity. What we can do with the expertise that they have learned in the participation, and we are organizing many parts of our. We have a community, mainly students and I and the partners and at the university, and we wanted to do things, and one of the ideas was to start working with enzymes to purificate, and some ways learn first to purificate these enzymes, starting with the kit that IGEM gave us, and try to convince, try to make interested some important partners like Itaipu. Itaipu is an hydroelectrics that had a lot of money, and they use this money through many projects. They have enterprise, a kind of initiative called Parque Tecnológico, the technological park of many I forgot the name, enterprise that are starting empreendedorismo. I think that could help me. And we want to talk with these people and propose. We want to do enzymes. We want to just learning to make this and make. I think that the thing that Jenny taught will be very important. I don't know if it is possible to receive Jenny here in Fort Iguazu. I think that will be great because we are a small and new university. We don't have, we are not so strong in that sense. Then this enterprise, Itaipu, the hydroelectric, I think that they are not they are not very convinced of our potential yet. They know that we have participated 2 times in iGEM, but as we don't have many teachers, many professors working in this in synthetic biology, we don't have a critical mass yet. Just me and some students, very interested, motivated, but still students. I think that if we can organize something like the things that Jimmy make in Africa, will be a very good start point to start to receive investment from this hydroelectrical, because they have a lot of money. You can trust me. It is a very large money that they do. Then the things to 2024 is this: here locally start to work in producing enzymes. And I personally, I want I am talking with Jenny to start a broad platform to build a system for detection of dengue virus and Zika virus in wastewater. That is a project that is working on the detection of coronavirus in wastewater, financed by Itaipu. They talked to me in 2021 to start this project. This project is ongoing. It's working very well. We can detect, we can quantify the number of particles of coronavirus by liter, and they can calculate the number of people infected with our numbers. But we wanted to start with dengue virus is a little difficult because the people infected with dengue virus is less even in the peaks of our pandemic, compared with the number of people infected with coronavirus, then it is a challenge to adapt that platform that works very well with that high numbers of people infected with coronavirus to these viruses that are relatively less represented in the affected in the number of people. Then I would like to start with some things that I read of synthetic biology, like the Cas13 system. I don't know if you work in Cambridge with this. I know that you work with Cas12, but I think that it is a little bit less sensitive, and with what I want to know what to do. Sorry, is the more sensitive, more sensible system for detect this and other virus that we can work in the future, because Aedes aegypti is a very big problem here. we know that dengue is here, Zika is also here, chikungunya is also here, but there are a lot of other viruses that this mosquito can transmit. You just need a person, a few people infected in this area to spread the virus. Then we have a big problem in this sense. As Itaipu put this system to work, the logistic to collect the wastewater, they put a laboratory for make this. They wanted to invest, I think. Then my intention is start with these enzymes. Many of them we don't have in our collection. For example, Cas13. It is not present in this collection of enzymes.
Yeah, we
But
can't
they
do it
are
because it's patented, unfortunately. So we're not able to
Oh,
make that one available. Yeah. But Christian, I just wanted
okay.
to, we've gone a few minutes over the end of the meeting. So I think this is a really good conversation we could pick up on the forum as to like what's the latest. 'Cause
Okay,
I think there are some people on there who have done some LAMP for wastewater. So I think we should, yeah, it'd be great to chat more about it and
Okay.
get some other people. Yeah, great.
Thanks. Okay.
Oh, you're muted, Yankee.
No, I was going to say thank you for your updates, Christian. And as Jenny said, feel free to connect on the forum, more about your Cas13 questions. I did say in chat that I'm willing to we can keep the room open for another 5-10 minutes if people still have time and want to kind of share the updates for the upcoming year. But no worries if you have to run off, because we know there's always too many meetings going on. Yeah, shall we stay on for another 5 minutes if people want? Would anyone else want to share any updates? I think Kwabena, you started talking earlier as well.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that I have recently joined Birmingham City, and also now there is starting a lab here, and some of the focus areas that I'm looking at has to do with, enzyme manufacturing, and specifically for diagnosis and all that. So in the next couple of months, that is basically what I'm doing. I'm trying to put an IGM team together, hopefully, to be able to get a lot more active work ongoing. So, I mean, if there are anything that we can work on together, that's the thing that we can always discuss it, and then we can contribute as well. Thank you.
No, that's great, Kwabena. And I saw your request for the reagents. So we'll be processing that hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So thank you for using the system. And yes, Janet, sorry, the meeting did start an hour ago, but we are recording this, so we will be posting this onto YouTube, and the slides I'll also be sharing on the forum. So no worries. This is what happens when you have meetings across different time zones. It's always a bit hard to keep track of things, so no worries at all. But we were just basically taking a few more minutes to kind of wrap up and just see, do a roundtable and see what everyone's upcoming plans are for this year. So would anyone else like to give a few, talk a minute or so about what they're doing? If not, we can always wrap up, because as Jenny said, we are a bit over time. I think I saw Fernand mention in chat that he'll be working on some educational resources. So definitely it would be good to connect with you a bit more. And also nanobodies will go on the gate format to teach bacterial display. Definitely would be great to share these resources around, and if we can contribute, do let us know.
Yeah, and next meeting, I know we're kind of out of time, but I'd love to hear from Danielle how things are going in Peru, and Kingston in South Africa as well is on the call. So hopefully next time. And I think we just lost Joseph from Syria, but fingers crossed we can also get an update on how stuff's going with him. next time too. And more from Janet, who I think this may be your first Reclone call. Is that right, Janet? Oh, fantastic. Well, next time we should do a proper intro.
Yes. Sorry about that. Well, next time I'll get the time right.
It happens. I've been doing it all the time recently myself.
No worries. Well, thank you anyways for joining, Janet. And as I said, I'll share this on the forum and yeah, on the forum afterwards. Last minute, any burning last comments before I close out the meeting for today then? If not,
Just a quick.
Yeah.
I did just have a quick one for Daniel. Are you connected at all? Have you made any connections with the iGEM team in Peru?
Well, yes, I did coach an IGN team from high school and then another one of my university. Yes, we did some.
Yes. They're very interested in the project because their enzymes have a tendency to, I'm a former iGEM high school advisor, and I'm have talked with David very much. And I know they have had difficulties, so I know they would be really interested in maybe prototyping the some of the education stuff that we're working on for Reclone.
All right. Well, I'll be glad to know more about it.
Okay.
Janet and Danielle, do you know each other? Should I do an email intro? Would that be helpful?
Yes, that would be great. And then I can I'll connect in the two iGEM advisors again so that they can have a direct connection.
And Danielle's put
great.
Put his email in the chat to cut out the middle person. But Danielle, I'll be in touch about some other stuff.
Yeah, great to see that we're already building connections. This is the first meeting of Reclone 2024. But I will close out the meeting now. It's lovely seeing you all and hope to see you more at the next meeting in a month's time. Okay, take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.